In March of this year, I published 28 videos, and for 2025, I published 215 videos. In this video, we're going to jump into my analytics and see what happened. I haven't looked at it, so you're going to get my raw reactions to the data. I'm going to put it into my reporting system so you can see how that works, and you'll get to witness the insights I discover as I'm looking at the data for the first time. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the YouTube Studio Analytics. I'll go ahead and dive into the watch time. My goal this year is to get monetized as a YouTuber. So in January of 2025, I decided to take YouTube seriously, and I'm 3 months into my journey and publishing a large number of videos to see what would happen, what types of videos hit the best, which ones didn't get any traffic, and figure out what's working, what's not, and then adjust my plan for next month. I'll continue to evolve and get stronger and more effective at this YouTube game. Let's go ahead and pull up March. Let's sort by watch hours. My number one video is a podcast interview that I did with Allison Miller. I got 46.6 watch hours, which is my most successful podcast episode. Definitely that format, which is an inspirational people interview. It's the most now watch hours I've gotten on a podcast episode in this short a period of time. It's published March 16th, so we're just a few weeks in, and I've got this many watch hours, which is just huge for my channel. My number one video has 132.7 watch hours. You can see that video is now my fourth highest watch hours of all time. So that was an unexpected success, and that's pretty awesome. Let's go back to March. The next one was my 187 videos. So this was my February report video, about 32 minutes long, and I had 35.9 watch hours. And this was a great video as well. At the beginning of February, I did a video which summarized my January activity. And so this was the first month I did my YouTube challenge, and that was the number one video that you saw in that last section. And so I was hoping that if I do a second video, it would be just as successful. But unfortunately, it was a great video. It had 36 watch hours, which was great compared to all my other stuff. But it did not hit the level that my first did. Now, what's interesting about this is the first one I did for January was a good video, but I felt like the second video, this one here, the 187 videos in 59 days, I felt like that was a better video. Like I did more things to keep people engaged, with retention. I just tried more things that to keep the video interesting, more compelling, more insights, and yet it didn't get as much traffic. One of the big differences is in the first video, I didn't give the main insight that I was pitching in the title and in the thumbnail until 2/3 into the video. And with the one that I did for February, I gave it right at the front end, and then I explained all the details. So that could have been the factor, which may have caused the retention fall off, or just less views and less watch hours. That's the only thing I can think of that was the major difference, because I felt like the second video was a much better video. One of the reasons I'm doing the video here is giving you my raw reaction is I'm going to break up my March videos into several different videos. So instead of doing one 30-minute video, I'm going to break it into a bunch of little pieces. And that's another experiment to see, is that a more effective way to do this? Will I be more successful by breaking it into pieces, or is it better to keep it all as one video? If you have any ideas or comments or on your preferences, share your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll consider that for when I do my April videos next month. Number one video is a podcast interview. The number two video is a fireside chat. I'm talking to the camera about my analytics. And then I've got a variety of different videos. I got how to grow your YouTube channel, algorithm beat niche. This talks about how the type of video channel that I'm building and how I'm approaching YouTube from an algorithm standpoint. I'm trusting that the algorithm is going to deliver the content I create to the people that want to see it, and it's going to shield them from the content that isn't relevant to them. How to engage politically. So that's another podcast episode that came out at the end of February, but it was the last day, so most of the watch hours rolled over into this month. I had another fireside chat that I actually just did a few days ago, March 27th, that has 9.2 watch hours. Tyrants fear this type of person. Feeding a noob into Project Zomboid. This is a podcast episode, a new format that I'm trying where I interview someone while they're playing a difficult video game. I got about 9 watch hours, 72 views. Russia's annexation plan. This is a clip. Communication is game. This is a newer episode that I published a few days ago. That's 4.5 watch hours. And you can see my video that I published in February 4th for January, the analytics. I actually got 4 watch hours. This video was actually tracking a bit better through February and getting about an hour a day after it hit its peak activity. And then it fell off. And in a whole month, it only got about 4 watch hours, which is a bit disappointing because I thought that video was going to have more legs. and carry on, but that didn't end up being the case. So I want to export this data, and I'm going to do it into a Google Sheet here. I take this data from the spreadsheet, title, publish date, all these variables, and then I'm going to go into my Airtable, and I'm gonna go ahead and import this. So I'm going to hit Control Paste. So I'm going to hit Expand the Tables. These are my March. Now the reason that I'm labeling them for March is because not all the videos were published in March. So this is watch hours in March. I can go ahead and filter this, and now I can categorize it. So time type, I have new, recent, and old. So I'm going to go ahead and sort by published. These are going to be new. So we'll go ahead and put these all in new. So new is this month. So anything in March is new. And then recent is the most prior 3 months. So that would be February, January, and December. So we got 2 Decembers in here that made it. And then November and older will be considered what I'm calling old videos. And this has to do with my reporting, so I can see which watch hours came from which segment of time. Then we have a duration group. So how long was the video? So I'm going to go by duration. Long is 40 plus. So anything over 40, I'm going to put in this bucket. And then we've got medium, which is 15 to 39. And then short is anything less than 15. So these are just long form videos, or the rectangular ones. Long form always seems like a weird name because shorts can be longer than a clip you put on long forms. So I like saying rectangular instead because I feel like it's more accurate. Type grouping. This is going to be whether it's a clip. So this is a fireside chat. This is a clip. So most of these, like under 5 minutes, are going to be a clip. So I'll go up to 9 minutes, and then I'll then check it. So one interesting thing is there's a lot of watch hours that are on videos and clips that I didn't necessarily notice or see when the month was playing out. So it's cool to see these now. Now I need to do these ones up here, and I'm just going to assume these are all podcast episodes. I'm now going to go to my interface, and let's look at the report here. So I'm going to go back to YouTube Analytics real quick just to show you 2025. You can see in January, 62 watch hours, and then 237.31 for February, which was awesome. And I wasn't quite able to get to that same level of success, but I did publish a lot less videos. So that'll be interesting to see how does the data pan out. In January, I published 77, and then in February, 110, and then I went down to 28. Now I did different formats in 28, kind of compensate for that, but I did a lot less videos. Now a large number of the 110 and the 77 are clips from my podcast, not shorts, but actual clips that are long form. I was able to get pretty close. It's pretty awesome. So let's go back to our tab. You can see this is the same thing here. We got January, February, and then a dip. What I'm looking at here is I'm looking at the colors. Okay, we've got 3 colors that we care about right now. I've got yellow, which is clips. The pink or reddish is fireside chats. And then the green is podcast episodes. My clips from January to February, so I had 5 watch hours from clips, then 34. And then in March, I had 18. Now I did a lot less clips. I did plan to cut back on clips quite a bit, but it looks like I may have cut a little bit too far. So if I can maintain the watch hours on clips and then grow it a little bit, good, because they're low effort videos that I can create. I got fireside chats that had 159 watch hours. And then this month I had 75. The idea was with March, so I'm going to do more fireside chats. I'm going to see what happens. What's interesting is clips were the big winner in January. 61 watch hours was pretty good for me because in December it was 40, and my average before that was like 15 to 20 hours. So 61 was a lot for me, and then I jumped up to over 200, and that was great. I discovered clips were great and podcasts were working for me, but fireside chats, like what I saw happen in February, was huge. So I decided I'm going to do a lot more fireside chat videos in March, and I did that. And you can see it's still hefty here, but it's just not the same. And that big reason is because I had that huge video in February and I didn't have that in March. If I do this sort of across all 3 months, I get this pie chart, and half of my watch hours are from fireside chats, and 16% are clips, and then 32% are podcast episodes. Total watch hours by type. Now this did exclude the hit video, that huge hit that I had in February. I removed it. So I take that outlier out. You can see the fireside chats are pretty good. I've had growth, but it's really cool. Like podcast episode, that huge podcast episode really changed the dynamic here. And so I'm finding this 3-headed beast, which is podcast episodes with clips, and then the fireside chat videos in it. I feel like the fireside chat videos have the most upside, but by getting that podcast episode, it changed my mind a little bit in the possibilities. Some of that's going to depend on who I interview and what kind of reach I get and what kind of audience they have that watches. Clips are really the one that dropped a bit. And if I'd been able to maintain that more than I did, March would have been even better. If we actually take out the hit video, it's only 30%, and then podcast episodes are actually dominating. So that's an interesting insight. 22% are clips. Podcast episodes are really taking a front. They said, hey, we're getting neglected. We want to share the actions. So we go podcast episodes, total watch hours. Yeah, podcast episodes are actually winning now in total watch hours. Let's look at old watch hours. This is something I'm keeping an eye on because old watch hours, they're a compound interest dividend. It's stuff I've already created that's out there, and then how does it perform? You can see had 10.5 hours from old videos, 5 hours from old videos in February, and then 9.9 hours in March. I was able to recover back to the 10 from January, but I haven't been able to grow it. I'll be curious to see how that plans out. My hope is that old videos can continue to perform, but that doesn't seem to be the case so far. 10 hours times 12 months, that's 120 hours. And the idea is if I get that number high enough in order to reach the 4,000 watch hours, then when I do new videos, it's on top of that. So it's a baseline foundational. That's the idea of creating evergreen content, is you have this compounding content performance from the past content. If we look at recent, we've got 6, and then we got 33, and then 32. So recent is definitely doing pretty well. You can just see the fall off here, but I did a lot of videos in January, February, and March, just much more than normal. And so old watch time going forward. So we got April, May, June. I think once I hit July, a lot of those videos are going to be in that old category. And so we'll see if this old time moves up. New watch hours, I got 44.52 in January, 198 February, and then 141 in March. So you can see that the recent January and February held well. March did well on old watch hours. It's really the new watch hours that I failed to achieve. If we look at average watch hours by type per number of videos, fireside chat performed 5.566 and 1.4 for podcast episodes, 0.903 for travel, and then clips were about a third of an hour. If we take out the hit video, it changes a little bit. So it's 2.6 for fireside chat, and everything else is the same. After January and February, the fireside chat videos were the most successful per video. As long as they maintain that level, I'm going to continue doing them because they also have just this huge upside with getting a hit. Let's look at percentage of watch hours by video age. New is dominating things. Now, if we average it based on the number of videos, it's still dominating it. New is what YouTube loves. So that's confirmed. We already knew that, but that's data to confirm it. Let's look at video durations. Medium is doing 48.5%, and shorts 23%, and then long is 28%. You can see it in a graph here. And this is in total number of watch hours. If we do it by video, medium dominates. 15 to 39 minutes seems to be the sweet spot for YouTube. If you're making videos, aim for that. Long is 14%, 1.393 per video, and medium is 7.553 watch hours per fireside chat. Now, if we take out the hit video, it's still medium is just dominating. Well, let's look at March and we can compare it to February. This gives us a little bit more details here. Podcast episode, fireside chat, 75 hours, 18 hours. You can just see the percentage. Just pretty wild how it switches over there. What are my takeaways here? Well, my strategy is to continue doing the fireside chat videos. I'm in the middle of a 4-week weekday video challenge. Looking at this data, I'm going to do a bit more clips than I did. I did 9 clips in March, and in February, I did 79. I did 70 less clips in March. I'm wondering what the right amount would be. I'm thinking maybe 20 clips would be good. I'm going to have a lot more fireside chats. I did 5 in January, 8 in February, and then March, I did 13. So I'd like to get that number up. I might have around 16 fireside chats this month. So it'll be a little bit more. I'm going to have more podcast episodes. March, I had 6 podcast episodes. February, I had 2. And in January, I had 7. So I'm going to have more like what I had in January for podcast episodes. I'm going to bolster up my clips. That's one of my takeaways here. And then keep up the fireside chats. And then I'm going to be ramping up podcast episodes because I got a lot of people scheduled to interview. Those are my fresh reactions, from the raw data. You're seeing it for the very first time that I'm seeing it. I will reflect on this and I'll come up with some other insights that have come out of March as I go into April and beyond. Anything interesting for you? Anything that stands out? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm Jason Scott Montoya, and thank you for watching.